Books, books. I like books. I'm gonna read them all. Hi readers, Chris here. Welcome to my channel where I review fantasy, Stephen King, all sorts of books. Today I'm talking about my top 10 most anticipated releases for next month, March 2023. I can't believe it's March already. Oh my gosh. Okay, so as per usual, of course, these are not all the books that are coming out in March, just the 10 that I am most interested in. Of course, it's a lot of fantasy, but there's some other ones hidden in there, and these are not in any sort of order other than by publication date. So let's jump right into this video with my number one pick for next month, The Foxglove King by Hannah Whitten. I've never read a book by Hannah Whitten before. However, I do have one of her books whose name is escaping me at the moment, but I'll post a picture up here of it, or here, one of these places later on. But this is a new book from her, and it is described as a lush, romantic, epic fantasy. So I'm just going to read you what the description is on Amazon, which says, when Laure was 13, she escaped a cult in the catacombs beneath the city of Delaire. And in the 10 years since, she's lived by one rule: don't let them find you. Easier said than done when her death magic ties her to the city. Mortem, the magic born from death, is a high-priced and illicit commodity in Delaire, and Laure's job of running poisons keeps her in food, shelter, and relative security. But when a run goes wrong and Laure's power is revealed, she's taken by the Presque Mort, a group of warrior monks sanctioned to use Mortem, working for the Sainted King. Laure fully expects a pyre, but King August has a different plan. Entire villages on the outskirts of the country have been dying overnight. Seemingly at random, Laure can either use her magic to find out what's happening and who in the king's court is responsible, or die. Laure is thrust into the Sainted King's glittering court where no one can be believed and even fewer can be trusted. Guarded by Gabriel, a duke-turned-monk, and continually running up against Bastion, the king's ne'er-do-well heir, Laure tangles in politics, religion, and forbidden romance as she attempts to navigate a debauched and opulent society. But the life she left behind in the catacombs is catching up with her, and even as Laure makes her way through the sainted court above, they might be drawing closer than she thinks. Okay, this book sounds totally right up my alley. I love when fantasy is mixed with religion and there's like courtly intrigue going on. Obviously, there's going to be a romance too. But what I look for in like a fantasy, I feel like this book has it, at least from this description anyway. So I really want to check out some of Hannah Whitten's other books and then maybe check out this one too. So if this sounds like a book that you want to check out, The Foxglove King will be available on March 7th. My second pick for March is going to be The London Seance Society by Sara Penner. I've never heard of this author, but when I heard about this book, it sounded pretty intriguing. So it says, 1873. At an abandoned chateau on the outskirts of Paris, a dark seance is about to take place. Led by acclaimed spiritualist Vaudeline Delaire, known worldwide for her talent in conjuring the spirits of murder victims to ascertain the identities of the people who killed them. She is highly sought after by widows and investigators alike. Lena Wicks comes to Paris to find answers about her sister's death, but to do so, she must embrace the unknown and overcome her logic-driven bias against the occult. When Vaudeline is beckoned to England to solve a high-profile murder, Lena accompanies her as an understudy. But as the women team up with a powerful men of London's exclusive Seance Society to solve the murder, they begin to suspect that they are not merely out to solve a crime, but perhaps entangle themselves in one. Ooh, this sounds like it could be so much fun. I love that it takes place in like the past. I do have a love of like historical fiction that takes place in like old England, like old English society. So this sounds like it could be really fun if it's done right. If it sounds like it might be something fun to you, the London Seance Society will be available on March 7th. My third pick for March is The Curator by Owen King. And if for some reason you don't know, yes, Owen King is related to Stephen King. Stephen King is his father. I have never read any of Owen King's books. I am on a journey to read all of Stephen King's bibliography. Maybe when I get done with all of Stephen King's books, then I can move on to Owen King. So this one sounds fun, and I love this cover because it has a cat on it, or the silhouette of a cat. So anyway, this book says that it begins in an unnamed city nicknamed the Fairest. It is distinguished by many things, from the river fair to the mountains that split the municipality in half. Its theaters and many museums, the morgue ship, and, like all cities, but maybe especially so, by its essential unmappability. I don't know if I've ever heard that word before. Unmappability, like it's not on a map. I don't know. If you've heard that word before, let me know. Anyway, continuing on. Dora is a former domestic servant at the university and has a secret desire to find where her brother went after he died, believing that the answer lies within the Museum of Physical Research, where he worked when Dora was a child. With the city amidst a revolutionary upheaval, where citizens like Robert Barnes, her lover, and a student radical are now in positions of authority, Dora continues to gain curatorship of the half-forgotten museum, only to find it all but burnt to the ground, with the neighboring museums oddly untouched. Robert offers her one of these, the National Museum of the Worker. However, neither this museum nor the street it is hidden away on, nor Dora herself are what they first appear to be. Set against the backdrop of a nation on the verge of collapse, Dora's search for the truth behind the mystery she's long concealed will unravel a monstrous conspiracy and bring her to the edge of worlds. Ooh. I mean, okay. There's a cat on here. I have no idea what that has to do with the story. And the doorway. Okay, so maybe the doorway has something to do with other worlds. I feel like, again, this could be a really cool story, or it could be a story that totally goes off the rails. Either way, I really want to know. So if you want to know what happens in The Curator, it'll be available on March 7th. My fourth pick for March is going to be Royal Blood by Aimee Carter. This is a little bit different, but I feel like I've been on a royalty kick lately. So this one says that as the King of England's illegitimate daughter, 17-year-old Evan Bright knows a thing or two about keeping secrets. But when she's forced to spend the summer in London with her father and the royal family, who aren't exactly thrilled that she exists, her identity is mysteriously revealed, and suddenly the world is dying to know every juicy detail the press prints about her. After a fun night turns deadly, and Evan becomes the primary suspect in a murder investigation, the escalating rumors and fallout threaten to tear her life apart. As she fights to uncover the truth about what happened, she discovers royal secrets that are even more scandalous than she imagined. Secrets that could change the monarchy forever, and her own maybe next. Dun dun dun. So it's like a murder mystery, but set in like a royal setting. And I don't know, this sounds like it could be a super fun, cute book. I really enjoyed American Royals, which was like a take on if America had a royal family. So I'm hoping that this one has like that same type of vibe where it's kind of like, it's kind of light and cutesy, etc. I mean, look at the cover. It's like a young girl sipping a chipped cup of tea. It looks like it could be kind of cutesy, even though it's called Royal Blood. But I don't know. I think it could be fun. So if Royal Blood sounds like it could be fun to you, it'll be available on March 7th. And no, not all of these books come out on March 7th. That just happens to be a really popular date. My fifth pick for March is one I'm super excited about because I can't remember the last time I thought about a science fiction book, and this is one. It's called Of Starlight and Bone by Emily Layne. And this book was described as Cinder meets Firefly, and these are two things that I personally really enjoy. So I feel like this book has a lot of potential. So it says that Aurelia Perry is used to being an outsider. As if being the adopted daughter of the galaxy's most powerful man wasn't enough, she also has to deal with the stigma of being part machine, which is why she's dead set on proving her worth. But when her first mission as a DISC agent ends disastrously, and then her suspect, a man accused of murdering and cannibalizing his own family, proclaims innocence and launches himself off the top of a building, she fears she'll never be trusted with another case. Artie has doubts about the man's guilt and is certain there's more to the case. She decides to dig deeper, and her superiors suddenly order her to drop it, and her superstitious investigation reveals a series of crimes she is convinced are connected. Determined to uncover the truth, Artie discovers an unfathomable darkness hidden in the depths of the galaxy. A darkness that threatens everything she holds dear. A darkness connected to her own past. And Artie's involvement in the case doesn't go unnoticed. Something in the system has caught her scent and will stop at nothing to catch its prey. Ooh, I love this whole thought of like a darkness in the middle of the galaxy. I don't know. I can see where the Firefly vibes come in, and her being a half cyborg. That's where the Cinder vibes come in. If you're not familiar with either of these things, I'm sorry that these references probably don't mean anything to you, but if you do know what they mean, I hope you know what I'm talking about, so you'll understand why I picked this book, why I put it on my list. So if Of Starlight and Bone sounds like something that should go on your TBR list, it'll be available on March 7th. Book number 6 for March is The God of Endings by Jacqueline Holland. Another author who I've never heard of before, but again, I just thought this book sounded super cool, so here we go. Colette Lesage has been hiding a dark truth. She is immortal. In 1834, Colette's grandfather granted her the gift of eternal life, and since then, she has endured centuries of turmoil and heartache. Now, almost 150 years later, Colette is a lonely artist running an elite fine art school for children in upstate New York. But her life is suddenly upended by the arrival of a gifted child from a troubled home, the return of a stalking presence from her past, and her own mysteriously growing hunger for blood. Combining brilliant prose with breathtaking suspense, Jacqueline Holland's The God of Endings serves as a larger exploration of the human condition in all its complexity, asking us the most fundamental question: is life in this world a gift or a curse? Now, I don't know how deep the book is going to go into exploring this question, but I feel like if it goes deep, like, that could make for a super cool story. So I really hope that it does. I want to find out. So if you want to find out how deep this story goes, The God of Endings will be available on March 7th. Okay, I promise that was the last book coming out on March 7th. So my 7th pick for March is going to be The Memory Eater by Rebecca Mahoney. Again, completely new story to me, completely new author to me, and another book that I just feel like has a really cool setup. So this one says, for generations, a monster called the Memory Eater has lived in the caves of Whistler Beach, Maine, surviving off the unhappy memories of those who want to forget. And for generations, the Harlows have been in charge of keeping her locked up and keeping her fed. After her grandmother dies, 17-year-old Alana Harlow inherits the family business. But there's something Alana doesn't know. The strange gaps in her memory aren't from an accident. Her memories have been taken, eaten, and with them, she's lost the knowledge of how to keep the monster contained. Now the Memory Eater is loose, Alana's mistake could cost Whistler Beach everything, unless she can find out how to retrieve her memories and recapture the monster. But as Alana delves deeper into her family's magic and the history of her town, she discovers a shocking secret at the center of the Harlow family business and learns that tampering with memories always comes at a price. Just like the previous book, I feel like this is another one that has a really interesting topic that if it goes deep into could make for some really fascinating fascinating thoughts and discussions and comments about, memories and what memories mean, and if you take them away, how does that change you? I find all of that stuff fascinating to explore. So if it sounds like something you think is fascinating to explore, The Memory Eater will be available on March 14th. My 8th pick for March is going to be The Witch and the Vampire by Francesca Flores. And I put this on my list because A, I like witches, and B, I like vampires. So this sounded like a no-brainer. So this says, Ava and Kay used to be best friends until one night 2 years ago, vampires broke through the magical barrier protecting their town. In the ensuing attack, Kay's mother was killed, and Ava was turned into a vampire. Since then, Ava has been trapped in her house. Her mother, Eugenia, needs her. Ava still has her witch powers, and Eugenia must take them in order to hide that she's a vampire as well. Desperate to escape her confinement and stop her mother's plans to destroy the town, Ava must break out, flee to the forest, and seek help from the vampires who live there. When there is another attack, she sees her opportunity and escapes. Kay, now at the end of her training as a flame witch, is ready to fulfill her duty of killing any vampire that threatens the town, including Ava. On the night that Ava escapes, Kay follows her and convinces her to travel together into the forest, while secretly planning to turn her in. Ava agrees, hoping to rekindle their old friendship and the romantic feelings that she started to have for Kay before that terrible night. But with monstrous trees that devour humans whole, vampires who attack from above, and Ava's stepfather tracking her, the woods are full of danger. As they travel deeper into the forest, Kay questions everything she thought she knew. The two are each other's greatest threat, and also their only hope, if they want to make it through the forest unscathed. Okay, yes, this sounds like it could be a very simple, cutesy-wootsy YA fantasy romance. We've got a witch and a vampire. Maybe they fall in love. And I don't know, I just love that concept. It really reminds me of A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness, if anyone's familiar with that series, that also featured a witch and a vampire romance. This kind of seems like it could be a YA version, and I don't know, I just think it sounds really cute. So if The Witch and the Vampire sound cute to you, it'll be available on March 21st. All right, getting down towards the end here. My 9th pick for March is going to be Stars and Smoke by Marie Lu. And if you recognize her name, it's because she wrote Legend, I think it's called, and Warcross, neither of which I've read. I do have them in my collection and plan on reading them someday. And maybe I will plan on reading this someday as well, because this says, Meet Winter Young. International pop sensation with a voice like velvet and looks that could kill. His star power has smashed records, selling out stadiums from LA to London. His rabid fans would move heaven and earth for even a glimpse of him. Just imagine what they do to become his latest fling. Meet Sydney Cosette, part of an elite covert ops group. Sydney joined their ranks as their youngest spy with plans to become the best agent they've ever had. An ice queen with moves as dangerous as her comebacks, Sydney picks up languages just as quickly as she breaks hearts. She's fiery, no nonsense, and has zero time for romance, especially with a shameless flirt, more used to serving sass than taking orders. When a major crime boss gifts his daughter with a private concert for Winter for her birthday, Sydney and Winter's lives suddenly collide. Tasked with infiltrating the crime organization's inner circle, Sydney is assigned as Winter's bodyguard, with Winter tapped to join her on the mission of a lifetime as a new spy recruit. Sydney may be the only person alive imperious to Winter's charms, but as their mission brings them closer, she's forced to admit that there's more than Winter than just a handsome face. Romance and danger abound in this brilliant, breathtaking ride that will leave you clamoring for the sequel. Dun dun da da. Okay, so clearly this is going to be the first book in a series. And yes, again, on the surface, it sounds like it could be like a super corny story. But I love that they're taking this whole like K-pop trend, and turning it into this like spy romance story. I think that's a really cool take. So I have no idea how this book is going to be, but I think it sounds fun. So If Stars and Smoke sound fun to you, it'll be available on March 28th. And finally, that brings me to my last pick for March, a book that is totally random, but when I came across it, I don't know, there was something about it that just really hooked me, and it's called Chlorine by Jade Song. So this book is about Ren Yu. Ren Yu is a swimmer. Her daily life starts and ends with the pool. Her teammates are her only friends, her coach, her guiding light. If she swims well enough, she'll be scouted, get a scholarship, go to a good school. Her parents will love her. Her coach will be kind to her. She will have a good life. But these are human concerns. These are concerns of those confined to land, those with legs. Ren grew up on stories of creatures of the deep, of the oceans and the rivers, ones that called sailors to their doom, ones that dragged them down and drowned them, ones that feasted on their flesh, ones of the creature that she's always longed to become, mermaid. Ren aches to be in the water. She dreams of the scent of chlorine, the feel of it on her skin, and she will do anything she can to make a life for herself where she can be free. No matter the pain, no matter what anyone else thinks, no matter how much blood she has to spill. Okay, so I was obsessed with The Little Mermaid as a child, so the fact that this seems to be about a mermaid is super fascinating, but in the original version of The Mermaid, she doesn't have the best ending, and it sounds like you're talking about pain and blood here, so maybe this could be more true to the original version of The Little Mermaid. And also, I just want to mention that this book is listed on Amazon as being $30. And for a debut novel, which this claims it is, a debut story from an author to be priced that high is kind of really strange, I think, to me. So I don't know if I would pay $30 to read this book, but if I saw it on sale somewhere, I would definitely pick it up. I'm really curious about this one. So if you are curious about Chlorine, it will be available on March 28th. If you made it to the end of the video, you are rewarded with a Jack. He was just sleeping and now he just woke up, so he might be a little sleepy. Oh, I love you too, baby. I love you too, buddy. Anywho, those are all my picks for March. So now I want to know from you, what are you most excited for in March? Any new releases, anything I mentioned? Let me know in the comments section below. And as always, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not already, please subscribe to my channel for more bookish stuff coming your way soon. All right, everyone, happy reading.